everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about M3GAN 2.0. So yeah, it is officially the weekend of M3GAN. Wait, no, whoops, that does not sound good. No, actually, M3GAN F, M3GAN 1, F 2.0. I don't know, man. But pretty much what I'm saying is it's the weekend of both M3GAN 2.0 and F1, the double feature. And I did see them back to back, but I'm going to try to do these reviews. I might do them separately, unlike the Mission Leela Final Stitching review where I put those together. I might do this a bit separately. So we're starting with M3GAN 2.0. Before we get into M3GAN 2.0, you might be wondering about if I've seen M3GAN 1, because in case you don't know, you might be new to the channel, maybe you're not, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of horror, okay? I'm too big of a sissy to watch a lot of horror, so it's very rare for me to actually watch a full-fledged horror movie. I think the closest to horror movie I've seen is like the New Mutants, which, you know, still might not count. But I've always had like a small interest in that first M3GAN back when it first came out. Partially because of the reviews coming out about it, not just being killer robot murders people, but it actually having a story about grief and having heart in the movie. So that always made me interested. And then we got M3GAN 2 was coming, and everybody was talking about it. M3GAN became like this big thing. And, you know, if something becomes that big, I feel like I have to watch it sometimes. So I finally ended up watching the first M3GAN when Blumhouse did the re-releases of certain films, and I thought, you know what, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it right, and I'm gonna see it where movies are meant to be seen, that being in the theater. And I actually really liked it, way more than I thought I was going to. Definitely had the creepiness and the horror, but it didn't go too far for me personally. This is the PG-13 version, mind you. I did not see the R-rated version. Not sure I could do that. Maybe I could, I don't know. But I was able to handle that one, and it actually did a good amount where I actually was able to enjoy it. And like I said before, I loved the fact that it wasn't just murder robot murders people. It was a story about this little girl dealing with the death of her parents, going with her aunt, and this whole story with heart with the two of them. And not to mention, it touches upon like what you would probably expect with it, technology and AI, and is it good, is it bad, all that stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I really like the first M3GAN. And I heard that M3GAN 2 was going to completely pivot and go full-fledged action comedy, and oh my gosh, yes it did. It was kind of jarring, the genre change between M3GAN 1 and M3GAN 2. Because M3GAN 1 is definitely a horror film. It's not the scariest horror film, and the only reason why I'm able to say that is because I was able to handle it, and if I'm able to handle it, well then, how scary can it really be? But the second film, all the horror is gone. Well, okay, there's some, like, dips of it here and there, like, there's some like little like tiny hints of it in some scenes, but it's not enough to do anything. And to me, it is kind of jarring, because it feels like, to me, it's kind of weird, because it feels like the target audience of M3GAN 1 and the target audience of M3GAN 2 are going to be completely different target audiences. But, you know, and it's kind of funny because, like, Google, I think AMC's app still consider it a horror movie, and they even play a lot of horror movie trailers in front of it, which, you know, but it really isn't a horror movie. It is an action comedy. But other than that, is it good though? That's what we have not talked about. Personally, in my opinion, it's fun. Granted, I didn't say good or bad. Okay, fine. But it is fun, and at the end of the day, that's why I'm going to the movies, to have a good time. It doesn't necessarily have to be a heart-wrenching, deep story. Not always. Sometimes it can just be dumb fun, and that's what this movie is. For me personally, I had a blast watching this movie. It was so fun seeing these. First of all, it was cool seeing these characters return, and it was fun to see them a couple years later, especially now that the Katie, I think is the little girl's name, is now older. Gemma, I believe that's the name of the aunt, is getting a bit better at this parenting stuff. Still learning things, but is getting better at it. And then when it comes to the rest of the stuff, the humor in this movie is going to be hit or miss with first time people. For me, most of it hit. Now, not every single joke hit, so I wasn't laughing like nonstop throughout the entire film, but there were tons of moments that just had me laughing out loud. So to me, that it was fun. The action was fun as well. And I was kind of surprised at how good the action was. It's not like top tier best action movie there is, no. But based on the fact that this is from a studio that makes horror movies, and the first film is a horror movie, the fact that they were able to make the action as fun as it was, I thought was good. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, I also think that they used the PG-13 rating very well when it comes to action, because there are some things in this movie that do get kind of violent, but it's done really well, where it doesn't feel censored, but it's still able to be intense and give you that uneasy feeling. And so that, I think that was done pretty well also, with the violence getting pretty violent, but within the PG-13 parameter. So they knew how to use that PG-13 in this movie when it came to the action and violence. And yeah, there's not much more to say about it other than that. This movie is a blast. It's not the best movie. Like, I feel like they could have done M3GAN. Like, I love redemption stories, character arcs. It's some of my favorite stories. But I feel like they could have done M3GAN's story redemption a bit better. Just because she was literally a horror character who murdered like 4 people and a dog, which to me is unforgivable. Just saying, M3GAN. So the fact that, I feel like she's forgiven maybe a bit too quickly, and like there's really no reason for these people to be trusting her. So I feel like they could have dove more into that, maybe given her a bit more for that. But I've seen stories where killers are redeemed before, and it's worked. So I think they could have made it work. It just wasn't done well enough. But I think it's partially because they just cared about giving us some dumb fun. So yeah, now I guess I should move on, because I don't really have any more to say than that. Fun action comedy that is a fun time. Now, one of the movies that will be the hardest one to ask this question: should you see this in the theater? This movie is so hard to answer. For this movie specifically, this question is so hard to answer, because everybody's going to have different thoughts, especially because of it being the second film in a franchise, but it's a completely different genre from the first movie. So it's really hard to ask this question, I think, because, okay, how do I put this? Because it has the problem where, like, if you love that first M3GAN because of the horror, you're probably not going to like this one. But if you didn't see the first M3GAN because of the horror, but you kind of interested in this because it's action comedy, I'm not sure if you still want to see it, because you might have to want to see the first one to understand this one more, but you might not want to see the first one because it's a horror film. And then there's the fact that the movie is more of a dumb fun action comedy, so you just might not be your thing. So what am I gonna do? How do I say this? All right, here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say this. It's so hard. If you want a fun time, if you just want to have a fun time, yes, see this movie in theaters. If you are a fan of the first movie and you liked the trailers for this one, go see it in theaters. However, if you liked the first film and didn't like the trailers for this one, then you can wait for streaming. Just because if you weren't a fan of the trailers, you're not going to be a fan of the movie, because it does lead into that ridiculousness. So there's that. And then if you just hated the first film and you hate these trailers, obviously skip it. But, that's my recommendation. If you like the first film, hate the trailers, streaming, love the first one, love the trailers, in theaters. Or if you just want to have a good time, theaters. So that's my recommendation. But yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to watch. I hope you guys, please hit like if you liked it. See some of my other reviews. An F1 review is coming as well, so check that out. Thanks for watching. Bye.